In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this stylish monostrap dress with flare and draping at the sleeve. This dress is from Classic Chic Looks on Instagram. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please kindly hit on the subscribe button. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, for this dress, we're going to draft out the front pattern first and the upper part. So what you need is your shoulder to bust, your shoulder to under bust measurement, and your shoulder to waistline. So after marking this, you're going to mark your shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 inches divided by 2, I have 7. I'll come down by 1 inch. Here I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches by 3. This will serve as a guide for this pattern, and I'll go ahead to draw this out. I'll go ahead to connect from here all the way to the shoulder slope. Next, I'll find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Got 7, and I made a mark at that point, placed my ruler and draw out a straight line. The next step I'll take is to go ahead to mark back my shoulder divided by 2 on my chest line. So from that point I'll go ahead to extend this all the way to the upper part of my shoulder. I'll find the midpoint, which is 3.5 inches, and come in by ½ inch. On the chest line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll connect from this midpoint to the upper part and connect from the midpoint all the way to the armhole. Next is to mark my dart. Before marking my dart, I inserted my bust circumference divided by 4 and the sewing allowance. Now for the dart of this dress, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. After marking that, I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to draw a straight line connecting. So I'll go ahead and also mark my nipple to nipple on my bust line and extend it all the way up. After that, I'll go ahead to mark my dart intake of ½ inch on both sides. I'll come down by 1 inch from the bust and I'm going to extend this all the way up. I'll also repeat this at the other side of my pattern. Now I'll insert my body measurement. I'll go ahead to mark my my under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. I'll go ahead to place my ruler to connect. Now after connecting, I'm going to go ahead to cut out this pattern. So after cutting this pattern, I'll also use it to draft the back. This will save you the stress of redrafting your pattern again. Now I'll go ahead and place another pattern paper, but before that I'm going to mark a zipper allowance. For your zipper allowance, you need like 1.5 to 2 inches. Now I'll place my pattern and I'll trace it out. Remember, my pattern is starting immediately after that line, and I'm going to go ahead to connect this all the way to the armhole. So after tracing this out, I'll be using this pattern to cut out the back, but I'm going to go ahead to cut out the excess I have by the side. After cutting out the excess, I can now go ahead to use this pattern. The neckline of this dress, I'll use 3 inches by 1 for the back. Just remember, we are still going to alter this neckline after drafting it out, so it doesn't really matter. But your neckline shouldn't be so low because you're going to draw like a monostrap going over to the other side. So from here, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 because I'm trying to mark my dart. So I'll just go ahead and use my front pattern to mark where I have my chest line, and I'll place my ruler to draw a line across. This will be serving as a guide for me to draw out my dart. What I'm going to do now is to place back my nipple to nipple and I will connect. Remember, this my dart is starting after the zipper line of the back. Now what I'll do is to go ahead to mark ½ inch on both sides because this is a basic dart, and I'll extend this all the way to the upper part of my pattern. So while extending, please don't let it get all the way to the chest line area of the pattern, and I'll connect. Now this is what I have for the back. So I'm going to take out the zipper bulge, which I'll mark ½ inch on this part, and I'll extend it all the way to the upper part of my pattern. Now I'll also go ahead to cut out that part because I won't be needing it, right? After cutting it out, I'll pin up the zipper area. This will help me like when I'm drafting this pattern, because I'm going to place the front pattern on the back pattern. So the neckline I feel is too deep for the kind of monostrap we're going for. I'll just use a pattern paper and a tape to hold it down at that point. To mark my monostrap sleeve, I'm going to start connecting from here all the way to the other side of my pattern. This way I'll start connecting it till I get to the armhole of the dress. Now after marking this, I'll cut it out. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. Now I'll be using this pattern to cut out the back pattern. I'm going to go ahead to place the front pattern on top of the back pattern. Also make sure your zipper is pinned. Zipper allowance is pinned out first. Now mark from the shoulder to the other side of the armhole. Now this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to cut it out, right? So you can see that my zipper allowance is pinned out. This is so that what is at the front will match what is at the back of the dress. Now this is my pattern. I'll go ahead to unpin it, and this is what my monostrap looks like. I'm going to do a little illustration how to achieve this dress. I'm going to make a strapless sleeve, two strap sleeves that you're going to attach to this dress. I used my sellotape to secure it to the front part of this dress, and now you have to like cut out another fabric which you're going to drape from the shoulder going down to the other side of the armhole. So I'm just going to use this pattern paper to illustrate. So I'm going to go ahead to place this and pleat it just to show you what it will look like. So I'll just pin this down, and I'll also drape it around the neckline of this dress. Now after draping it to this point, you're going to sew it to the side, and when you sew it to the side of this dress, you now go ahead to use the remaining part as the sleeve, and then go ahead to also tack it down or join it by the side. So this is what you have for the upper part of the dress. Now let's go over to the lower part. So let's say if you're cutting this, you cut it in form of a flay. Be cutting this in a 180-degree flay, which you fold your dress in form of a triangle this way. Now my waistline is 28 inches plus the zipper allowance on both sides, which will give me 1 inch. Let's say I'm using 1 inch on both sides. My zipper allowance, that will give me like 30 inches. For this dress, we are cutting the front separately and the back separately. So for the front, my actual waistline is 28, so I'll divide my waistline into two. It will now give me 14 inches. So that 14 inches now, if I want to cut it on this pattern, I'll divide that 14 inches into two. So now for this pattern, let's take my waistline, what we got here after dividing to be 4 inches, which is not the actual measurement. I'm just using this for instance. Now you're going to place this and draw like a semicircle on this part, which is exactly the measurement you got, right? Now after drawing it out, you place your tape here and then measure from the tip to the line. Whatever you have, you're going to take it all the way around. So what I got is about 4.7 or 4.8 inches. I'm going to place and take it round my pattern. Then after marking this, I'll go ahead to connect my lines, drawing out a semicircle at this part. Now from here, you're going to measure from your waist to the full length of your skirt. After measuring that, add 1 inch for your folding allowance or hemming allowance, then add ½ inch for joining at the upper part. So from that, let's say my measurement is 9 inches, and you take this 9 inches all the way around your pattern this way. So after marking that, I'll just go ahead to connect this all the way around. After connecting this, you now go ahead to cut. So remember, after cutting the front, remember the waistline for the front does not have a zipper allowance. Now when you're cutting for the back, you're going to add like a zipper allowance on both sides. Let's say for the front now we used 14 inches. If you're cutting for the back, you attach the zipper allowance on both sides. It will now end up giving you 16. You now go ahead to cut it like this, and you're going to join this on the front waistline and join the back pattern on the back waistline of your dress.